Dear friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be diving into another really fantastic machine on the VulnHub, which is SafeHarbor. The link will be put in the video below so that you can download it and play it on your own. Before we get started, however, please make sure to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel grow. So now let's get started. I'm going to demonstrate so many useful and important pen testing techniques. The most important ones is pivoting. And I'll be showcasing techniques like Metasploit, Metapredator as well. So now let's head over to Kali Linux VM to begin with. First of all, we need to discover the IP address of the target machine. The utility I'd like to use, as always, would be netdiscover. Alright, as you can see over here, the IP address of the target machine could be recognized as 254. And we can note this information to our notebook. So what shall we do next? We need to perform port and surface scanning with Nmap. To save time of this video, I've already completed before, so now we can get out its result. Let's scroll up a bit. So as you can see over here, I took the options like SynScan, the default script scan. Of course, SynScan requires root privilege or sudo, and also version scan followed by the full range port scan. The last option for all is ON to output the result into this file. So then we can retrieve scanning results whenever, just as what I'm doing now. From the Nmap scanning results, we can tell the target machine has two open ports besides this filtered port number. The first open port 22, the surface is SSH, and also we can get its version information, including its corresponding exact version number. Though this version is not updated, I don't think we can find any workable exploits. The second open port 80, the surface is HTTP, and also we can get its version information, including its exact version number, nginx 1.17.4. And the filtered Docker. So I think if you use Google to make some research, you will know this port number has something to do with Docker API. But for now, we can put it aside for a while. So what are we going to do next? We need to enumerate this web application both manually and automatically. Hold on. Before we go ahead, I'd like to note down the key information. The second open port is 80. We can copy and this one also we can make notes on our notebook, although this port is specified as filtered. So what are we going to do next? We need to enumerate the web application by taking manual approach. We can put the IP address of the target machine into the address bar of the browser, press enter. So this is online banking login. We can try to use default credentials like admin as username, admin as password as well. Click login button. We got error, username or password incorrect, which is fine. Next, I'm going to take login bypass technique. And you can use Google to make some research to get more payloads to, for this kind of login bypass technique. Okay, so now we can use admin single quote or 1 equals 1 and double dashes and space and password or anything, login. As you can see, without too much trouble, we have already successfully logged into the web application. And here we are provided some functions like balance, but right now it's 0. Transfers, we can transfer money to other guys, so some different users. But right now we cannot make any transfer because the balance is 0, right? Let me try. So insufficient funds for transfer. We know this, my account. And we can change the password, about, and we can get the version information, online baking version. So maybe we can use such a sprite to check to see whether this application is vulnerable or not. However, because this is Harbor Bank Online, okay, we do not want to log out. So how to do next? Next, I'm going to check to see whether this site has robots file or not. Not found. Next, we can launch Nicto to perform automatic enumeration. Let's go back to the browser in the meantime to save time of this video. I think you can notice without too much trouble or too much difficulty, you can notice the pattern of this URL. We can copy and paste over here. So possibly this parameter P has file inclusion vulnerability. Afterwards, we need to check it manually. But before we go there, I'd like to complete web enumeration as usual. So we find this PHP info, we can copy and access this file, press enter, and we can got configuration information about the PHP engine, the version. Let's scroll down, configuration, URL include. So I think we have very good possibility that the target application has file inclusion vulnerability. All right, we need to keep this in our mind as we go ahead. So login PHP. Next week, I'm going to launch GoBuster to perform directory enumeration. Unfortunately, GoBuster can't find anything else. To save time, I'm going to interrupt here. So I think the vector, the only possible vector lies in this possible local file inclusion vulnerability. You can use browser to test, or alternatively, we can use a command line like a Q. However, to use, command line, we need to explicitly pass or give the cookie. And to get the cookie, let me summarize some information to get the cookie. The cookie, we can, we can take different approaches. Of course, you can use Burp Suite. And then when you intercept the request triggered from the client or browser, and you can get the cookie. And alternatively, or more preferably, we can use the developer tool of a browser. But even with developer tool, we can have two options. For example, let me show you what I mean exactly. Let's right click the mouse and go to inspect, and we can go to storage, and then we can get all cookie. This is the first way. And the second way, we can go to console tab, and we can run like alert. I think should be document and cookie. Press enter, and then we can get the entire cookie. We can copy and paste over here. Of course, you can use other types of functions of JavaScript like console log document cookie. It's the same. We can get the same result. Okay, so far I've already made a summary how to get cookie with respect to specific web application after we can get access. Okay, so now let's go back to the command line or terminal window. Let me use a Q command, and we need to copy and we can, for example, try to access password file, and we can use option of -b to specify cookie, and we can, every time we will get a different cookie. So we can copy this cookie. Cookie consists of key pair or key pairs. Put over here, and let's press enter, but nothing returned. So if you think the target web application doesn't have the file inclusion vulnerability, you will be wrong. Another very important technique when we try to identify or discover file inclusion vulnerability is, of course, sorry, I forgot to do one more thing. We need to combine with path traversal technique. Sometimes it's necessary, so we can use this technique, but still nothing come back from the target machine. So when we detect file inclusion, the first is we can try to access password file, and next is path traversal. Next, very important as well, which is PHP wrapper. And what I'm going to use is one type of filter. And I've already opened up this link, which will be put in the video below as well. So, you can use it if you want. I can use this kind of filter. We can copy and put over here. Yeah, this one. So now we can change this. Usually, we can use this kind of wrapper or filter to retrieve source code of specific file. And resource equals to, like, as you can see, we can, we can pass different file name, balance, about. So maybe we can, for example, try to retrieve the source code of about. Sometimes we need to put its extension, but because here we didn't see this kind of extension, so this is the reason why I didn't put the extension PHP in the end. Although you can see we got something back this time, although it's encoded, no problem. We can use pipe operator to decode base 64, and then we can get back this, the source code of this page about. So similarly, we can get back the source code of another pages or files like transfer, Let's scroll up. You can see this time we got something a very important back. This is database collection credentials. I think we can copy all of that. So this means the one machine is running MySQL database. Also, we even get its username and password we can copy. Although at this moment we cannot make use of this kind of information, as the database service is not exposed to public. Okay, so now what we can do next? So except this kind of credentials, we can't do very much with this discovered file inclusion vulnerability. So how to do next? Next, I'm going to test remote file inclusion vulnerability. And I've already got this file ready, shell. But one very important difference is that this case we should use the file names like about, about balance, the about balance transfer. Either of them can work. We cannot use original file name like shell. Okay, and we can make a copy to about, or transfer. It doesn't matter, I think. So now how to test this kind of remote file inclusion vulnerability? We can set up a web server locally on the Kali Linux, and then we need to set up the listener on the Kali Linux, waiting for collection from the target machine. So next we can access, I think we should be using HTTP and about. We cannot put its extension here. Let's press enter. I think it's working. Maybe I can close up this developer too, because we are not going to use it anymore. You see, we have already got the shell on the target machine. So beautiful. But it looks like we are not in the host machine. We are in the container. You can run ID. Right now is www hyphen or dash data. And we can get the host name. So, very weird host name. So this, again, means we are within some sort of container rather than host machine. Our job next is to escape from this container, because our job is to get flag which lives in the host machine rather than in containers. So how to do next? We can make some enumeration ulim. So this is 64-bit architecture. Go to home. Just one user, www-data. After all, this container is running web application, which is exposed to us, right? So I'm going to define the term variable. Then we can clear screen whenever to get a bigger space on the window. So next, I'm going to upload Nmap's shell script to perform automatic enumeration. So now I've already got this script ready. Yeah, this one. And next, we should upload this script to the target machine. And we have already set up web server on the Kali Linux, so we can use wget is available. Python is not available. After all, we are in the container, so we can use wget to upload Nmap, and we need to make it executable and run it. when we try to make lateral movement or privilege escalation, in most cases, we should make use of this script if the target machine is Linux, because it can gather information from various aspects. It's done. Let's scroll up. SUID bit information, username and groups information, so this is the IP address of the current machine or container. So the container 1, and also we can get its net mask. We can copy. Cron job information. I have to admit, we didn't get anything useful. So how to do next? I think in order to escape from this container, we need to gather more information, not just in this machine. We need to gather information of the network. So how to, for example, how to discover machines and services on these machines? We can take a different approach. The first one is Metasploit. You can set up Metasploit session, and then Metasploit has one module which can perform TCP scanning. But the pro of this way is the Metasploit framework is easy to use, but con of this way is it's too slow. Based on my practice. Okay, the first is Metasploit, and secondly, we can create the shell script. But the disadvantage is the same. It's bad performance. And I suggest you do this way, the same way, the Nmap. Of course, the Nmap right now, the current container doesn't have a Nmap running, right? So how to do? In order to perform Nmap scanning, we need to upload to the binary. So we do not need to make a compiling anymore. So how to do? And I think we can got from my toolsets directory, and we can make it executable. And next, I'm going to upload the Nmap binary, Nmap. Okay. And then, as you know now, current user www data, we cannot make port scanning with the mode of SYNScan. TCP scanning supports different types like SYNScan, full collect scan, stealthy scan, many different types of scanning. So which type of scanning should be used here? Yeah, this one, ST, or full connect scan. How to do? We can run a map, and I'm going to put the port number, the port range from 1 to 10,000, and also I'm going to put the option ST to perform full connect scan and the network. Okay, let's press. Of course, you can put 16 or 24. It doesn't matter. To make the scanning to be faster, I'd like to use 24. So now we can press enter. Even I do not need to pause the recording because this process can be done very quickly in comparison to a Metasploit. Maybe I will make another video to show you how to, make port scanning with Metasploit. As you can see, it's done. And now we can note down the discoveries. So this one, we can copy. This should, by convention, the IP address of this, machine should belong to the target machine, right? And we can, so the filter we can copy. And the second, so this one, Harbor Bank, we can copy. The surface, just one port, open port 80. So how about the next one? This port number, the surface is unknown. How about this one? The port number 80. And this one. So many containers. And this one. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing. So the 5 should be this. And next container, I think it's the same as this one. We can copy from here. The next one, yeah, this one. Port number. We must be very careful and patient. So this one, this is current container, right? This is current container, yes. And it's running this one. So what's that? I don't know. And so this one, Harbor Bank. This case we find another 2 open ports. And last one. Oh, it's running MySQL service. Earlier we have already got back the database collection credentials. Yes, right over here. But at that time, we can't use this kind of information. So now, we need to, look into this surface. So how to do? I think one important technique, what I'm going to demonstrate is pivoting. And in terms of pivoting, we have different approaches. Pivoting. We can entirely rely on the Metasploit. After we can set up, the Metasploit session, and the Metasploiter can help us to set up port forwarding, etc. And then we can access, for example, a different service running on the different machine. So this is the first way. However, based on my practice, in our case here, this does work, but at some step, it runs into some issue. In other words, it's not working. It will not be working properly or smoothly. Another way is, of course, we need to set up the Metasploit session, Metasploit, and we need to use Metasploit to set up the SOX proxy, and then we can utilize the proxy chains to access a specific service running on the different container or different machine. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate the second way, okay? But before we do that, we need to create the payload first with the command ms-vuln, and let me use port number 666 and the name. Okay, press enter. As you can see here, over here, I used the option of -p to specify the payload. And the payload in this case is Metasploit. This is the most powerful payload. And also we need to specify the local host and the local port number and the format. This one is Linux executable. So now it's created successfully. Next, we need to launch Metasploit console. In the meantime, we can upload this payload to the target machine. It's done. We need to make it executable, and then we can run it. However, before we hit enter on the keyboard, we need to set up handler first on the Linux. We need to use the module, exploit module multi-handler, and we need to set a payload to be this one. We can copy and paste over here, and then we can show options. We need to set localhost to our Linux, set a local port number. This port number must be the same as this one when we create the payload with ms-vuln. Okay, let's run it. As you can see over here, the reverse TCP handler has started. So now we can, hit or execute this payload. I can see we successfully got back the Metasploit session. We can run get UID, www data, and even we can get the shell if you want, like shell. Okay, but sorry, this is not what I'm, I'm going to do. I'm going to, I'm going to take the control of another container, this one, this container, because this container is running MySQL service. So how to do? We need to set up the route. First, we can background the current Metasploit session by pressing keys Control and Z. Okay, and we can search the route and search auto route, and then we can use this module. This is post exploitation module. We can copy, paste in here, and then we can show options. We need to set the session. Of course, right now, only one active session, so we can set the session number to 1. Set the subnet to this network. Now we can run it. So now the route has been added, to this network from the host's routing table. And next, we need to set the proxy. We can search, socks. We can use the first one. Different version of Metasploit, the module would be different. So I'm using a bit new release of Linux. So now we can use this one. And then we can show options. We do not need to set username and password to save our strings. Okay, set the serve host to our local host. Set local port number. Yes, port number. This one is fine. We do not need to change it. So now we can run it. So starting the SOCKS proxy server, we can open new tab to run command to see, this port number indeed is open. So now we need to change the configuration of Proxychains sudo. As you can see, we should put the port number. You can use any other port number, any unoccupied port number on the Linux, and this is the IP address of the local host. And then I recommend you use the SOCKS file, which is much better. Otherwise, it cannot work as we expected. Okay, so now we can quit. So now we can Proxychains and MySQL. Since we have already set up a route to this network, so now we can hit enter and supply its password. We can, this one. We can copy and paste in here. But we got this error. Very weird. As we know, the container doesn't run SSL. So why we get this kind of error? We need to put additional option to skip SSL negotiation. Maybe it's not necessary for your environment, but for me, I must use this option to go further. Let's hit enter and supply the password one more time. As you can see, we are in the target database, or not LS. We can show databases, and one database caught our attention. We can use this database, Harbor Bank users, and then we can show tables, and then we can dump from this table, and then we can get username and password. Sounds very interesting, right? However, just now we have already got access to the application, and all usernames do not seem like a username for SSH. Actually, they are not useful in our context. So now we can exit from the database. We need to gather more information from the target machine, okay, and from different container. Although there's 10 containers in total, but maybe we can have a look at this container or access this because it's running HTTP. Let me, of course, I think we can close up the browser. I'm going to use Proxychains and followed by Firefox. So now we can access the second container. Press enter. So this is, what's that? Kai Banner 3. So maybe we can use such a sprite to check whether this application is vulnerable or not. Kai Banner. And we got this one. So injection, CSV injection. But we do not know the version of this application. Maybe we can put it aside for a while. So you are running Elasticsearch. Your Elasticsearch server is down, unreachable. Just now we found these two open ports. Actually, this port number is used by Elasticsearch, not this one. So this is an error of the Nmap. So next we need to, also we can, so I think we can access this Elasticsearch. We can put the port number 9,200 or 9,300. Let's press enter, or not 2. The container should be this one, 124. Press enter. So this is the status is 200. Shadow King, Elasticsearch, and also we can get the version information. Great. So now we can use such a sprite to check to see whether we can find exploit for the Elasticsearch. And we got this one. So I'm going to get from its source to current directory. Let's have a look at this Python script. So the just very simple Python script execute command. So anything we need to pass to this script is IP address. Okay, and the loads. Oh, this was written in Python 2. It doesn't matter. My Linux has Python 2 installed by default. So now, and we need, of course, we need to use Proxychains as well, Python 2, and followed by the script name and IP address of the container, which is running Elasticsearch. Let's press enter. Now we can run ID. We are root user. Fantastic. Unfortunately, we cannot make navigation. For example, if you want to navigate to home, we are disconnected. We need to exploit it again. So how to do next? Maybe we can get more information. We get release. Jesse. Jesse. So I think now we have already got access to this container. And now, but we cannot navigate. Maybe we can spawn. We can, sorry, not spawn. We can set up another Metasploit. Okay, so how to do? I think we can disconnect from the this, not this one, yeah, this one. We can, okay, we can set up another payload or create another payload, ms vuln, and the pod number. We can press enter. Now we need to set up another Metasploit console. But I think we can exit from here, exit. Because I want to pivot from this machine. Yeah, this one, this container, which we have already got roots shell on this container. It's much better, right? So now we can use exploit multi-handler, set a payload to be this one, and set local host to our Kali Linux, set local port number to 888. Let's run it. And also we need to upload the Metasploit payload to the target machine. We can use wget. I think we can, although we cannot make navigation, we can list. Oh, we are not. Oh, because sorry, we cannot exit from the Metasploit framework. Sorry about that. I need to do it very quickly. This is my bad. Metasploit console. Use exploit multi-handler, set a payload. And we can copy from here. And set a local host to our Kali Linux. Set local port number to 66. Let's run it. Do we need to execute this command again? Okay, no problem. We can set up the listener and we can close. We need to bypass authentication again. Anything, log in. Oh, it's not working. Password. Anything, log in. Now we can access about. So now we can go to temp directory, and then we can execute the payload. Okay, and we can background the session. We can search socks. We can use the first one because we need to set the proxy. And we can show options. We can set the server host to local host. Okay, let's run it. And also we need to, search auto route. We can use this module, show options, set session. So the session, we can set the session and set a subnet to this one and run it. So now I think we can Proxychains to exploit this container, and now we can upload the second payload. Okay, temp, we can use wget meta2, and we need to make it executable, and we can run it. Okay. It's not working. Oh, we didn't upload our payload to the target machine. So the payload should be met2. We can wget meta2 temp meta2. And also we can check it's there. Great. And what's wrong? What's wrong? Temp is there. Why it's not working? var temp. Oh, it's not executable. My bad. So now I think so it's executable. So now we can run this second payload to get the second mid-predator. Okay, great. So now we can get the shell, and now it's much better. We can make navigation, right? We can get out the bash history. Great. It looks like this, the user is trying to queue or access this page. And as we know, this machine should belong or should be host machine. We can, and also we know that the target machine is running some sort of Docker API. So maybe now we can queue. Button page not found. How about info? We got something back. Next, I'm going to, set another pivoting. I'd like to pivot from this container, because this container, we have already got root shell on this container. So how to do? In order to prevent from conflicting, we need to, I think, right now we need to delete the current root. Even we can exit. Okay, we can background. And also, I'm going to set another proxy socks use. So right now, no proxy is running. So we can use this socks proxy module. And we can show options. We can set the server host to local machine. Port number, 1080 is fine. And then we can run it. But also we need to set up a route once more, or to route. We can use this post exploitation module. Show options. We can set the session. So right now the session is 1. So we can set the session to 1 and set the subnet to network. Okay, let's run it. So now we can check whether the proxy server is running. So now we can try to change queue to download or to access the Docker API to get info of this Docker. Yes, it works. So next, I'm going to get more information about the images on the target machine. And we can utilize the Python to do this. Okay, so how to do? Let me launch PyCharm editor. You can use any editor like Sublime or VS Code. So now let me navigate to our working directory, SafeHarbor. As you can see, I've already done so many machines. SafeHarbor. Yeah, this one. Okay, trust project, this window. And I'm going to write Python script, for example, like Docker info. And we can import some modules like sys module. And also I'm going to use requests module. And also I can use JSON And also we can import pp print. This can beautify the output. Import pp print. We can define the main function. So the URL should be, we can use format the string, right? Or not. The IP address should be this one. Port number. And for example, I want to get the images info, and the format is JSON. I don't think we do not need to use format string. So then we can, requests. Response. Requests. Get URL. And then we can, the data should be JSON loads, response, content, okay? And let's print or beautify the output. So now let's run it to see whether this script can work as we expected. We can open new tab. So many tabs have been opened. So let's, of course, we need to use Proxychains, Python, Docker image. Let's press enter. We got back all images information. Beautiful. And there's so many, the containers created, report tags, this Alpine. So maybe we can use grep. I just interested in this kind of information. The harbor. Jesse. So how to exploit? As we know, we need to utilize the module, the post. Let me go back to this. We can search the Docker. And because I'm going to find one module which can help us to exploit the Docker, this one. Which one? Yeah, this one. And then we can show options. And we need, so here one field should be configured. So this case, we cannot use this Alpine latest. We can use, we just use this one. Which one? Yeah, this image we can copy. So we can set Docker. And we need to set the local host to our Linux. Set local port number to different port number. Set remote host to our target machine. Should be this one. And also I'm going to set different payload to a simple one rather than Metasploit, okay? Linux. And the shell reverse TCP. Let's run it. So the Docker container is created, waiting for deploy, waiting for the cron job to run. can take up to 60 seconds. Command shell session to open. We can run ID, the root user, and we can check to see whether Python, we can access Python. So this means we have already escaped from the container. We can run Python, import pty module spawn bash, and then we can grab the flag without any problem. Okay, I think that's pretty much it. I'd like to see you next. Bye. Have a nice day, please.